Hello and welcome to the video. Today I'm going to be going over some of my predictions for the 2024 Strongest Man on Earth, which should be happening just this Saturday after I'm recording this video. This is one of the top four competitions, probably the big four competitions of the year, and it's personally has become my favorite competition of the year. I would classify this as probably the greatest test of strength, the true best way to really determine who the strongest man on earth, of course, is. So here I just have a graphic pulled up from Strongman archives of the athletes that are going to be competing in this competition. We have 16 total athletes, which is much more than the average competition, but me personally, I enjoy that aspect of it. So let's just go ahead and talk about the athletes that we have here. So, of course, we have Hafthor Julius Bjornsson competing here, world's strongest man champion, of course. We have Mitchell Hooper competing here, another world's strongest man champion. We have Tom Stoltman, who is, of course, now recently, as of this year, a three-time world's strongest man champion. We have Evan Singleton, a multiple-time world's strongest man competitor, third place at world's strongest man this year, so he's got himself a bronze trophy, and probably the current most successful Giants live athlete around. I think he's probably won maybe five or six Giants lives. We have Trey Mitchell, the two-time champion of this competition, who's coming back from an injury. We have Thomas Evans here, who had a pretty great year last year. We have Bobby Thompson, another great competitor, third place at the Arnold last couple years. We have Alexei Novikov, of course, another world's strongest man champion, sort of also recovering from injury this past year or so. We have Matthew Ragg, fourth place at World's Strongest Man, and fourth place as well at the Strongman Classic, just nearly missing out on a podium there. We have Lucas Hatton, I'd say, one of the best prospects currently for the sport. Doesn't currently have that many accomplishments under his belt that you could maybe compare to some of these other guys, but he's definitely one to look out for, not only in this competition, but definitely for the future. We have Maxime Boudreau, just making a big comeback, honestly. Uh, just winning North America's Strongest Man against a pretty decent field and honestly dominating that competition. He's been sort of not 100% for maybe the past year and a half, but after that performance at North America's Strongest Man, you would not have noticed. He looks to be better than ever, honestly, right now. We have Ivar Smockstelis, who actually got second place at Europe's Strongest Man this year. He's also a World's Strongest Man finalist this year. We have Pavlo Cordiaca, another World's Strongest Man finalist, and who's just coming off of a third place finish on the Giants Live Strongman Classic, a really good show. We have Austin Andrade, another sort of up and coming guy, but with a lot of potential. He actually also got to the World's Strongest Man final, along with our last two athletes, Tristan Hoth, fifth place in the final, and Wesley Derwinski, sixth place in this year's final. Um, both really just kind of came out of nowhere in that final and did really amazing. Um, so I got another graphic here for the events that are going to be contested in this competition. First up is the max deadlift, pretty self-explanatory. It is a raw deadlift by strongman standards, so it's just going to be on a deadlift bar with calibrated plates and no suit, only straps and no figure eight straps, which give slightly more advantage. Just the regular figure six straps. We also have the overhead medley, which is going to be five different implements, ranging from 163 kilograms to 191 kilograms, just alternating from a log to an axle, which is going to give it a bit more of a skill factor there. We have a keg toss for max height, which is going to be just like they did in the World's Strongest Man final this year. So we're hopefully going to see another world record in that event. We got a lot of really great throwers in this competition. We also have the manhood stones. So this is going to be basically the athletes are going to have four different stones to choose from, ranging from 450 pounds to 200 and no, sorry, to 600 pounds or 272 kilograms, however you want to say it. They're going to have four options there, and whichever one they want to choose, they're going to have to rep out. The highest weight, the higher the weight, the better for them. and the more reps, the better, of course. So hopefully we're going to see some really insane lifts. This is a very unique event, but definitely one that I'm sure a lot of strongman fans have been looking forward to. We have the squat lift, which is going to be sort of on a Smith machine kind of setup for reps, possibly anywhere between 340 kilograms, which is about 750 pounds, to 380 kilograms, which I believe is around 840, 850 pounds, something like that. So that's definitely going to be a massive test of leg strength right there. We have a power medley, which is a returning event at the Shaw Classic slash Strongest Man on Earth competition, where they're going to have to carry a wheelbarrow and then go into an arm over arm pull event. We're gonna have a dumbbell medley, which is pretty self-explanatory, a one arm dumbbell press overhead with five implements from 102 kilograms or about 225 pounds, all the way up to 129 kilograms, which is about 285 pounds, something like that. Then finally, we're going to finish off with the same event that we finished off last year at this competition, which is the just a general medley, but it consists of two fingers into a set of two power stairs. The first power stair is going to be 250 kilograms or 550 pounds, and then it's going to go into a 272 kilogram power stair or 600 pounds, which is another extremely heavy event. This competition in general is known to be probably the heaviest of the year. So we got a amazing set of 16 athletes here, an amazing set of events that are gonna perfectly test and all around strength here. So it's looking to be an amazing competition just off of our little preview here. So going right into the predictions now. Gonna go ahead and start off with the max deadlift. So I'm gonna go ahead and just reveal the numbers here and then sort it out from greatest to smallest. So now if you know these athletes, it would be no surprise that we see Thor here with the first place scoring a total of 16 points. Since there are 16 athletes, 16 points equals maximum points. So honestly, that's no surprise. Followed by Matt Rag, who I think will be able to beat Hooper, who I have in third place. Followed by a couple more great deadlifters like Andrade, Tom, and Evan. I have a little bit of a breakdown here on what I think these athletes are going to be looking to hit. So I guess I'll start from the bottom. I think Pablo maybe is going to come out with 770 pounds or about 350 kilograms. I think that would actually be a good number for him raw. Usually he pulls in a suit and he somewhat uh, is uncomfortable with his weight, I guess. Um, but so it would be interesting to see how that would translate to no suit. So I honestly think that somewhere around 350 kilograms would be good for Pablo. Then he's going to be followed by Maxime, who I think will just do enough to beat Pablo here, and I think he's capable of that. Followed by Avars, who isn't a bad deadlifter, but you make it without a suit, and then you compare it to the rest of the field, and I just think he falls short. But I do think he's a better deadlifter than Boudreaux and Cordiaca. Then we follow him with Wesley Derwinski and Thomas Evans, who I kind of have here tied with 880 pounds or about 400 kilograms. Um, I sort of think that Evans will be able to sort of edge out Derwinski here, but I just have them sort of tied just to represent, them getting a similar kind of in that range. But if you do look at the points, I do have Evans beating out Derwinski because technically there shouldn't be any ties here. They should be trying to beat each other. Um, so if you were to roll the dice on this, I think Evans would has a higher chance of beating Derwinski there. But anyways, I have Alexi here with 890 pounds, which would be reaching close to PR territory for Novikov when you're talking about without a suit. So I think his strategy here would just sort of be to beat Evans. If not, then maybe even surpass some other competitors, just depending on what shape he's in. So then I have another tie here, a three-way tie between Trey Mitchell, Lucas Hatton, and Tristan Hoth. Um, Only standout here might be Trey Mitchell because he's usually more in that 950 range. But again, as I kind of mentioned earlier, he's still sort of recovering from an injury. So I don't believe he's at 100% yet. Um, but again, sort of similar to the tie that we had earlier, I think that if you roll the dice on this, I think that Trey has a higher chance of beating Haddon, and Hatton has a higher chance of beating Hoth. But I do expect them to be in that similar range. Then we have Bobby with 930 pounds. One thing I'll mention about Bobby for this competition. is just looking at his training. He doesn't seem to be in 100% shape, at least in terms of his static events. He did seem to be struggling with a 900-pound deadlift earlier, uh, maybe a couple weeks back. But I do think that he will be able to peak properly. Just not sure if he will be able to peak to his 100% shape on this. So I'm just predicting personally a 930 pound lift or 422 kilograms, something in that range. Moving on, I think Evan will be able to beat out Bobby here, and he's going to be in a similar situation as Tom here, maybe in that 950 range. And I think Tom will be able to edge him out there. Then we have Andrade, who couple months back, actually last year at the World Deadlift Championships, he pulled, I believe, about 950 pounds or 430 kilograms, um, without a suit already. So we know that he's definitely in that 950 pound range. Um, it just depends on how much more he can improve on that. Um, that lift was that previous lift that he had done at 950 pounds was without proper peaking, as far as I'm concerned. So you would expect him to do a little bit better here now that he can prepare for it properly. It just depends how much more he can actually improve upon that. So then for our top three, I'd be surprised if Hooper's not in the top three. He did hit um, a 950 pound lift, and he does peak pretty well. So I do expect him to be well above 950. He did fail 970 pounds, which is about 440 kilograms. He did fail that. But, according to him, his foot slipped or something like that. Either way, I expect him to be better on the competition day. And I do expect him to be somewhere within the 985 pound range. I just don't know if he will be able to actually achieve that 1,000 pound number, which he has stated that he wants to achieve. But me personally, I just am not sure if he will be able to achieve that 1,000 pounds. Unlike Rag, who I do think is capable of 1,000 pounds. He won the deadlift at World's Strongest Man without a suit already. So that kind of shows his pedigree here. And I think he should be aiming for 1,000 pounds if he is in 100% shape. And then, of course, no surprise here. We have Thor, who I believe wants to win this event with 1,000 pounds. But I think that Rag and maybe Hooper will hit 1,000 pounds, and that'll kind of force him to push himself a little bit more, um, and hit that 1020, or just a little bit more than 1,000 pounds. If I were him, I would, instead of going for 1,000, maybe go for like 1010 or 1015, something like that on his second lift, because it won't be that much more pounds, and he'll probably hit it just as easy. And he wants to avoid having to lift 1,000 pounds twice for that first place position. So anyways, moving on from the deadlift, the next event will be the overhead medley, which if I just order here from greatest to smallest, we have Hooper taking the win with Tom Stoltman and Lucas Hatton following him in second and third place. And then followed again by some other great guys like Cordiaka in fourth, Singleton in fifth, and Tom Evans, who might be a bit of a dark horse at this for this event. But he is great at overhead for reps. So I think Thomas Evans has a chance at doing really good here if he can perform well in the axle. Um, so I believe I also have another breakdown for this. Yeah, so for the overhead medley, as I mentioned, here we have everybody from first to last place. Um, Derwinski, starting from the bottom, Derwinski, overhead is sort of his weak event. So I think that he would sort of be performing worse compared to everybody here. I think that he'll be able to hit those first two implements, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to hit the three. For context, the first one, well, actually, we can actually just go over here to the right side. So the first one is going to be a 163 kilogram log, 170 kilogram axle. So I think that Derwinski might be capped at the 177 kilogram log. Now, if you go back here, Ivars, I think. Well, actually, let me first say, I think we're gonna have a couple guys here tied with three implements. Naturally, you're gonna have a lot of guys tied with, two, three, four implements. I think honestly, now that I'm revising this, you might have more guys tied with just two implements, but whatever, we're already here. Anyways, so we have the group of guys here tied with three implements, and then you just kind of organize them by who you think is fastest. I think all of them are going to be able to hit that 177 kilogram log. They've all sort of hit similar numbers to that before. and I think they're all going to be capped by that 182 or 182 4 kilogram axle, which is about 400 pounds. So I think that's going to be their cap. But I do think that they're going to be able to hit that third log. So again, just separating them out by speed. Novikov, although he's not in 100% shape, generally he's very fast and good at transitions and stuff like that. So personally, I would expect him to beat the rest of these guys on speed. Then you have Boudreaux, who's just really great at pressing. I think he'll be able to move through the implements fast. He's also a great mover in general. Then you have Rag, who he's a good mover too, good transitions. Just think the top two guys are gonna be a little bit faster. Then you have Hoth and Ivars, who you could sort of interchange them. Um, who I feel like they might take a little bit of time in between their implements. So anyways, then we have the next group of guys with four implements. So this means that I think they're gonna be able to hit that 184 or 182, whatever the weight is, kilogram axle. Um, One thing I'll mention right now is that a lot of people have sort of been speculating on how the altitude is going to play a factor into this event. So obviously, when you're cleaning a weight off the ground and then pressing it up over your head, that's actually pretty taxing for your cardio, however you want to call it. So it's going to be interesting to see how that actually affects these guys. But I do think they're capable in normal conditions of hitting these four weights. So Andrade, very strong guy. I just think these other guys are going to outspeed him. Kind of similar with Trey, and then just taking into account that his Achilles tore, he's going to lose some speed on that. Then you got Bobby, who's a great presser. He's been training this event pretty decently. I think he's going to have good transition there. I just think Bobby's going to be capped by that last log. I'm not sure if his strength is going to be there for that. Then, the real story here is Thor. So Thor's coming into this with a bit of an Achilles heel, being his pressing ability. So, about I'd say the start of last year, the start of 2023, around there, he got a pec tear, and ever since he's been returning to Strongman, that's had a bit of an effect on his overhead ability. So people have been speculating how many points is he really going to lose here. Me personally, I'll say a bit of an anecdote. When I was watching uh, Hafthor compete earlier this year at the Arnold on the axle, I was actually there in person, so didn't really see the live scorecard and how the referees were judging it. Just from viewing it with my eyes, I actually was under the impression that Thor had hit 3 reps with the axle, or actually, sorry, 2 reps. Um, and of course, we know that 1 rep was taken away because it wasn't a full lockout or whatever. So just from looking at that, I would definitely believe that he has the power to do 2 reps with that axle, which was again 184, 182 kilograms in that same weight range. And then I even think he had the power on that day to hit a 182 kilogram axle for 3 reps. So if he's just improving, and obviously that's just my opinion, but if he's improving off of that, I think he will have the strength to get 4 implements here personally if he performs well on the day, which Hafthor has historically been known to do. So I don't know if this is going to be a little bit of a controversial or a surprising pick, but I do think that Thor should be aiming for 4 implements here if he wants to win this competition. So I'm going to go ahead and say that he hits 4 here. And then alongside him, I have Evan Singleton with 4 reps. Um, I just think he's, maybe going to be a little bit faster than him, a little bit less cautious, just throwing the weights up, and he'll just get him on speed maybe. Then you have the top 5 here, which looking at it again, I'm starting to doubt if 5 people will be able to actually hit all 5 implements. But you have Thomas Evans, who I mentioned is good at overhead for reps. We have Pablo Cordiaca, again, great at overhead medleys. Lucas Hatton here, sort of the dark horse for the competition. Phenomenal at overhead events. I think he should be aiming for a top 3 position in this event. Then you got who I think will be definite the definitive top 2, or at least these 2 guys should want to be the top 2, Tom and Hooper, who are both just, great at overhead and great at moving. They're kind of the perfect combination for this event. I'd say Pavlo too, but I just think the top 2 just have a bit more static strength, which lends in their favor in this event. All right, so next event here. I'm gonna try to go a little bit quicker on this keg toss since I already wasted so much time on those first 2 events. Not too much in-depth explanation needed for this one. So we have Thor winning. I think he expects himself to win. I think everybody expects him to win. I think he should be wanting to win in this event, or else that would be a loss for him in terms of what he should be capable of doing. Next two guys, I have Tom and Boudreaux here tied. They tied at World's Strongest Man in 2021. I think Boudreaux is in great shape, so is Tom. I think they're both going to be able to push themselves on this, just fall a bit short of Thor. Then we have Hooper and Derwinski, the current world record holders in this event, alongside of Tom Stoltman. I just think that Tom is gonna, me personally, I just feel like Tom is gonna perform better here than he did at World's Strongest Man on this event. Then we have a couple more guys, you can see for yourself here. Not too much explanation needed, except for maybe Pablo, who zeroed this event at World's Strongest Man. But that was most likely a fluke, in my opinion, and I think he is actually a good thrower, and I think he's going to do pretty good in this event. So moving on to the Manhood Stones, a very interesting event here. Um, First place. There's been a bit of an discussion around this. Who will get first place in this? Will it be Halfdoor coming back from retirement? Will it be Tom? Who's the real king of the stones here? If I were to put money on it, I'm gonna say Tom wins this more times than Thor if you run it, 100 times back and forth. So I just have Tom in first place there. Thor in second. I think they're definitely the top two guys in this, with a potential dark horse, might tie Thor in Boudreaux. Now, I'm just gonna scroll down here because I also have a bit of a breakdown for this. So I have Tom actually winning this event with the 600-pound stone. Definitely think he's gonna go for that stone. So with that stone hitting 2 to 3 reps on that, I think two should be enough to secure the event there. But in the case that he has to, I think he can go for 3 reps. I personally think he's capable of that. Um, Followed by Thor, who I think will also definitely hit that 600-pound stone. I think Thor has to hit the 600-pound stone if he wants to win in this competition, or at least he has to get second place in this event if he wants to win this competition. Then again, followed by Boudreaux, who seems very confident in this event and he's in great shape and he is a great stone lifter. So I think he's definitely will want to be in at least the top five, top three if he's feeling really good on the day in this event. He could tie Thor if Thor's only able to do 1 rep on the 600, and then Maxime might tie him there. But if Maxime can't do the 600-pound stone and can only do the 550 stone, I I think he might be able to outdo Trey, just maybe doing an extra rep or something like that. Then we have the rest of the guys here. We have Trey with 550 for two. I think Hooper is going to be able to hit that 550. Um, if he could hit it for two, that would be great points for him. But I'm going to predict that he hits it for one. Um, then followed by some more guys, Rag, Smoxelis, Hatton on 550, Novikov through Hoth right here on the 500. Thomas Evans might get the 500, might only be able to do the 450. I'm not 100% sure. And then we got Wesley Derwinski and then Bobby Thompson in the bottom two. Bobby, honestly, he might not even be able to do the 450, and that's not like trying to be mean or anything. He's just traditionally not the best stone lifter. So he might get 450, he might zero this event, just to put that out there. All right, so the squat lift. This one is going to be interesting, and the predictions for this event have been very uh interesting as well and varied from person to person. But personally, I think that Thor right now is looking the strongest in terms of his squatting. He did hit a 380 kilogram set of squats. He did it for 5 reps with a pause at the bottom, which was utterly ridiculous, and I think far surpasses what I've seen from anybody in training. I think the second best in training will actually be Hooper. I think him and Hatton have actually had similar numbers. Only thing being that Hatton has been doing it in sleeves. So if you assume that these two guys are kind of in the similar range, um, Hatton would say that the sleeves, using only sleeves and not wraps around his knees, gives him an advantage in terms of endurance. But personally, I don't necessarily buy that when it comes to Hooper. I think Hooper will be able to sort of push through whatever discomfort there might be with the wraps. Especially since I think he might come after Hatton on the squat. So I just think Hooper will be able to beat Hatton on that squat. Um, but aside from that, I do think Hatton should be in the top three in this as well. He's been looking pretty great. Maybe a dark horse for this is Andrade. He's been looking good too. But I'm not sure if he's in that top three category. Tom also, uh, maybe a surprising choice here, but he did say he hit a 370 kilogram set of squats for 2 reps, which is actually pretty good compared to other people's training, and maybe better than a lot of the people here. So I do think Tom should try and aim for at least a top five spot in this event, and I think he's capable of it, honestly. Last thing I'll comment on quickly, I guess, Boudreaux with 11. He had a pretty good set of squats as well. I think similar to Tom, kind of like 370 kilograms around there for 2 reps. Um, and Ivars is a good squatter. Evans is a good squatter. Bobby, good squatter. You get the deal, basically. Moving on to the power medley now. Let's see here. Power medley. So this is going to be the wheelbarrow into the arm over arm medley. I have Maxime Boudreau winning this event. This is one of his, I'd say, best combination of events. He's won this event, I think, twice before, in 2021 and in 2023, I think. He also got like second place or third place in this event in 2022. So Maxime is definitely going to be looking for a top three finish here. I do think he's going to be able to win just off of experience and pedigree. So then following him, I have Hooper, which I believe if you look at the last year's results and then you kind of put everybody back to back against each other, Hooper would beat everybody else's time in this event. Um, I think he's gonna do great at it again. Except maybe Evan. I'm not sure if Evan actually beat Hooper last year, but whatever. We're just gonna say Hooper gets second place because, he's the magical Hooper, of course. Um, so Evan in third place, again, another guy who's constantly getting top three in this event at the Shaw Classic slash Strongest Man on Earth. Tom Stoltman, who again also has good performances on this event. He's good at arm over arm. So I think he should be in the at least top five. Then Thor in fifth place here, which again might be a surprising pick. Some people might think he will do better than that, but personally, I'm just going to predict him there because his arm over arm is actually a bit iffy. I know some people have talked about that, but I don't think it gets brought up enough. It's been a little bit up and down his arm over arm. He's had sort of mid-pack performances on it. Um, he's gotten last on it, I think maybe twice. So it will be interesting to see how he performs on this. Um, he could do better than fifth for sure, but just going off of previous performances, it's a bit iffy to say how he might actually perform on this. Then, followed by just some guys with great grip. Hoth and Derwinski both have very good grip, and they're Canadian, so you just kind of assume they have good grip. Novikov did pretty good in this event. So did Evans. And then, well, everybody's going to do great in this event. Everybody's just so good. But you kind of just got to go off of previous results and experience and things like that. So just ordering it that way, that's kind of how I see it playing out. You got Novikov, Evans, Kordiaka, Rag, Andrade, Hatton, who this might be a bit of an Achilles heel for him alongside the keg toss, which I didn't really mention, but those two events there are probably going to cost him. Um, Ivar's Bobby. So, you have Bobby and Mitchell, who this is not a very good event for because of their grip strength. So, anyways, moving on now to the dumbbell medley. We have, okay, another, I think, might be an interesting pick. If you look at this lineup, you see Novikov, you see dumbbell, you assume win immediately. And normally I would say that too. But although Novikov has been sort of slowly creeping back up to his 100% shape, in my opinion, um, I don't know if he's there yet. And because of that, and because he's going up against Kordiaka, who is another phenomenal dumbbell presser, I think that bit of a gap that exists there right now will lead to Kordiaka actually taking it over Novikov. Now, this is still assuming Novikov is actually in somewhat like maybe 95%, 90% shape. So Novikov might do worse. Novikov might do even better. Uh, but I'm honestly hoping that he is close to that 100% shape. And at the same time, I'm predicting a bit of an upset with Kordiaka, who's another great dumbbell presser and another very fast guy and another very great guy at overhead medleys. So then followed by Evan Singleton. You kind of have to put Evan in this conversation because he is arguably, if you take Novikov at 100% and then you take Evan and then you take everybody else in the world in this current era, I think Evan might be the second best dumbbell presser. So yeah, you would definitely expect Evan in the top three there. Um, then you got Lucas Hatton, phenomenal at basically every overhead event. He did great at the Arnold UK on the dumbbell as well. He hit three dumbbells from 110 kilograms or 242 pounds all the way up to 130 kilograms or 285 pounds. So very good performance there from him. And I'm sure he's expecting a good performance here too. Then you got Hooper, who's just good at everything. I just think these top four guys um should beat him if they, all perform to their best. But you're gonna still expect Hooper in this top five probably. Tom, who's also very good, or well, y yes, I'll say he's good at this event, but a little bit inconsistent sometimes. But in recent times, he's been good at the dumbbell. I think he should be expecting a good result here too. You got Trey, who's been actually having some really good training on the dumbbell despite his Achilles injury and recovering from that. And then, sort of again, with similar to the last overhead event, the story here is after Julius Bjornsson, how is he going to perform in this? How is he going to cope with his pec tear and his recent overhead performances? And I think he should be looking for a top half, sort of a top half finish here. And I think if he doesn't, then he will sort of be that'll sort of be a bit unfortunate for him. So I'm gonna go down here because I have another breakdown of this event. Let me see here. So I think Pavlo will be able to hit the five dumbbells. I think Novikov will be able to hit the five. I think Evan will be able to hit the five along with Hatton. I don't think Hooper will be able to hit that last um, dumbbell simply because at the Strongest Man on Earth they're extra strict with the refereeing. I wonder if that's going to play a factor into that. Tom, just not sure if he's going to be able to hit that last weight too, similar to Mitchell. And then, yeah, back to Thor. Um, he's in this category alongside Matthew Ragg with 3 to 4 reps. He did recently hit a 105 kilogram dumbbell at Iceland's Strongest Man, after two other reps of lighter dumbbells. So that was a decent lift. I'd rate that at about 115 kilograms. Uh, he also in training hit 110 kilograms for two, which is again a decent lift. So if you kind of go back to the dumbbell weights, wherever I had them, they are 102 to 129. So that's probably going to be like 102, 109, 116, 122, 129, something like that. So I think Thor I think he should be able to hit that 115 kilogram after, his recent training. And I think he maybe will be able to hit that 122 kilogram if he has a good performance. So again, it's a lot of guessing, but this is just predictions. I think he should be able to hit that fourth dumbbell if he's in good shape. Just sort of have him a little bit down here because I'm not sure if he will actually end up being able to. And then here you see, the results for everybody else. Kind of what you would expect. So, final event. We have the Fingals into Stairs medley, where I have Tom Stoltman winning, similar to how he did last year. He's great at Fingals and he's great at stairs. So then we have Thor in second place here, which I think he'll need a big performance here just to sort of make up ground after the dumbbell. Think he'll need a big performance here, and I think he'll be capable of it. throughout his career. Thor has been great at Fingal's fingers. He's been great at power stairs. He might even win this event, but I'm going to give the edge to Tom just because Tom's a bit younger, and I feel like because of that, he'll be a little bit faster. But who knows? It might be neck and neck between these guys. I'd love to see them head to head in this. That would be incredible. Then I have Evan, who got second place in this event, so I think he's going to do great here too. Followed by Maxime, who, in my opinion, alongside with Avars, actually, I think they're the top two at power stairs in the world. So, they're not number one because maybe the Fingal's finger will slow them down a bit. But I personally do think that they're the best two at power stairs in the world. So, we have Boudreaux then following Evan Singleton. Boudreaux did great last year too. I think he got maybe like top three. Followed by Avars, who got top four last year. Um, then another big story here, Hooper, right? Getting some people in between him, Thor, and Tom on this last event. Now, some people might argue that that won't happen because Hooper's just great at everything, which of course is true. Uh, but I have noticed that he does sort of uh slow down a bit towards the end of Power Stairs. Now, last year he was actually doing very good, and of course he didn't finish the Power Stairs last year, but I think he could have. He just kind of stopped to, savor the moment of Brian's retirement. If you know what I'm talking about, if you watched the video, I think he could have finished, but he was still a bit slower than everybody else. Um, so it's going to be interesting. I personally don't think, if I were to explain it, I don't think Hooper can beat Ivars or Boudreaux and maybe even Evan at Power Stairs. And I do think that Thor and Tom can beat these three guys at Power Stairs or this event in general. So it's going to be interesting to see if Hooper's going to be able to do damage control on this and prevent that point spread, that gap from being created. Now, Hooper also he's decent at Fingal's fingers, but I wouldn't say it's one of his banker events. So this combination of Fingals into stairs is kind of going to be a challenge for Hooper, in my opinion. And if he's able to overcome this challenge, then I think he wins the show. But due to this challenge being pl in place, I think it's going to really cause a bit of drama to see what ends up happening. Um, so we'll see, Another thing about Hooper, I don't think he has a Fingal's finger to train on right now. He used to, but I don't think it's functional right now. And I don't think he has a proper power stair setup either. So there's that factor of it too. It's kind of hard to improve on your performances if you don't have all the kit maybe sometimes, but who knows? Hooper is an exception to many things. Um, so, then we have Pavlo Hoth, who has great grip, Derwinski, who has great grip, and they're both good at power stairs. Hatton, who I mean, I'll also just say the same thing over and over again. They're all great at this event. But this is just kind of how I'm predicting it. It's all kind of hard to predict, but fight me about it in the comments if you disagree, whatever. Um, so then bottom three we got Trey, Austin, and Bobby. I just don't think they have good builds for this event, but we'll see. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. I know Trey and Bobby did I think they got bottom two or close to it last year, so I I'd look forward to them improving on that. That'd be awesome. But just from my predictions, I'm gonna have them towards that bottom end. So all right, enough of me rambling. Let's go ahead and see now what the total points shake out to. We can end this very long video. That's probably gonna be a very long video. All right, so starting out from the, I'll just start out from the top. So we have a two-way tie in points from Tom and Thor. Now, this is going to be very interesting. If it goes off of the last event rule, Tom wins. If it goes off of countback, which I feel like Brian would lean towards doing a countback rule, but honestly, I have no clue how they would settle this tie if that were to actually occur. Um, if we go off of countback, then Thor wins because he has one, two, three event wins compared to Tom's one and two event wins. So Thor has more event wins than Tom in these predictions. That would lead to Thor winning on countback, if that's the case of the rule. Maybe they'll do some tiebreaker event if that's the case. I have no clue. But just going off of my predictions, I'm gonna say that Thor gets the number one. Let me order it this way. Uh, Wrong way. There we go. Thor number one. I'm gonna say Thor wins this competition. Maybe I'm fanboying. Maybe I've overrated him in his overhead events, but maybe I underrated him in his power medley and the Fingals into stairs. Uh, it's gonna be very interesting to see. Same thing goes for Tom. I might be underrating him in the deadlift. I might be underrating him in the dumbbell medley. I might be overrating him in the honestly, I don't know. I feel like Tom has some extremely good events here. So maybe it's Tom's to win. Maybe it's Thor's to win. Maybe it's Hooper's to win. I have him here in third place. Where, if he didn't have three guys in between him and Thor, in my predictions, he would get 14 points, which is three extra points, and he would win the show. So again, I think all is to play for among these top three guys. And despite the fact that, you have Hooper here with less points than the top three, I think it is all to play for. I think it's an equal chance of these top three guys winning. And I know that's not really uh that awesome for a prediction. But that's honestly my opinion. But if you need a one, two, three, I think it's Thor, Tom, and Hooper. One thing I'll also say is that I traditionally underrate Hooper. I underrated him severely in the Arnold this year, Arnold 2024. He blew out my predictions by a lot. So maybe he will somehow blow out these predictions by a lot as well. There's a lot to consider there. But as I digress, then you go into fourth place here, where there's a humongous point gap according to these predictions, from Hooper to Evan. Um, So, you got Evan in fourth, who really makes up a lot of his points here in the back half, and honestly in day two, getting three top threes. I think he's capable of that. Whereas he sort of falters in the middle. So that's gonna be where he's gonna want to do damage control. So that's gonna be very interesting to see. Followed by Boudreaux, who seems to be in very great shape now. He's going to have an excellent middle of the competition and also an excellent finisher event, and that's going to really contribute to him doing great here. Then Lucas Hatton, sort of the rookie, who is just a bit up and down in these numbers. You got a 7, a 14, a 1, a 10, a 14, a 4. He's a bit up and down in some events, which the consistency I think is going to cost him um, a bit of positions, but it's going to be very interesting. Since he's a bit new, I might be underrating him as well. Then rounding out the top half, you have Kordiaka and Rag, who have been sort of placing very similarly in my predictions and in competitions too. So it's an interesting little pseudo rivalry that I just made up in my head there. But they round out the top half, the top eight there. Then you got Novikov and Mitchell rounding out the top 10. Both guys have said that they want to make top 10, indicating that they're not in 100% shape. So hopefully they can achieve their top 10 spot there. Then rounding out sort of the bottom few, we have Thomas Evans, who, it's still a great performance. He's still relatively new. Great performance there. Ivar's honestly all the again, everything here is going to be a great performance. Like even Wesley, who I have in last place, I'm sure he's going to have fantastic performances throughout the entire competition. This is just such a competitive contest that, somebody has to take last place. Um, then you have Andrade in 13th, Hoth in 14th, which I also underrate Hoth a lot, so maybe he'll overperform me there. Then Bobby in 15th. I just don't think these are good events for Bobby. Overhead medley is not his favorite overhead event, I think. Keg toss isn't his best event. Manhood stones is definitely not his best event. And then in the deadlift and the squat, I just don't think he's in 100% shape in terms of his static strength right now. Power medley also not his best event because of his just the grip on the arm over arm. Dumbbell medley, maybe I'm underrating him on that event. Depends how he shows up on that, but it'll be interesting to see for sure. And then the Fingals into stairs, just not another not good event, I think, for him there. But it'll be interesting to see how he turns up on the show. Then again, last place Derwinski, who I'm sure again going to be a great performance, but somebody has to come in last place, unfortunately. But yeah, I Wanted to make this a quick video, but I don't think that's really possible. There's just so much to discuss about this competition. There's probably nobody watching this video at this point, but if you are, that's awesome. Thanks for listening to me ramble for what I assume is about an hour. I have no idea. Um, but yeah, that is basically my predictions for this competition. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you made it this far, go ahead and comment what you think about these predictions and what your predictions are, anything like that, anything you disagree with, anything you find surprising, whatever the heck you want to do. But yeah, that is basically it for my predictions on the 2024 Strongest Man on Earth. Hope you enjoyed, and thank you very much for watching.